relationship always going on with you. And your job as a being of light is to experience it. If you walk through a park, notice the birds, notice the way the trees sway. In Sedona, if you go up into I think it's the Bell or something like that, I think
Bell
that's
Rock,
the name
yeah.
of the Bell.
Yeah, the Bell
and
Rock.
when I'm in Sedona, so I would go there, and if you close your eyes, you can hear the water running. And there is no water up there, but it was about 2 million years ago.
Yeah.
So, and what I'm saying that to say that time isn't real. Einstein, when he did the theory of relativity, determined time is not real, and it's not real. So, if you have the presence of mind to be present in your mind, and to be present with that which is and that which is not, you can find yourself in the middle of what I call the vortex, or in the field of creation. And once you learn to be there, all of these things that you seek, fame, success, wealth, money, transcendence, the more that you prepare yourself to become that which you seek will find you.
You have you're CEO of Reality N3D Publishing, and at this time you have 2 books, and so in this particular field, which is so, for so many of us who are inspired, publishing a book is so important. Can you share any keys you've got in your writing? I know you become an Amazon bestseller. Were there any keys you can share to getting that book out? And you've mentioned you were able to get out there and do your Barnes and Noble tours. Were you doing that on your own, or were you having help with a publicist? Would you recommend a publicist, or can someone do it on their own?
All of the above is true. Each one of us has a different path. I first signed with I won't say the name of the company so I don't get sued, but they were distributed by Time Life Books when I wrote Tired of Being Alone. And they were promising me all of these things, and a girl that had a curvy figure and some breast implants ended up getting my contract. And right then I realized, okay, this wasn't fair. I don't like it. So my mother at that time was living, and I said, I think I'll just start my own damn publishing company. And then I found Michael Baisden had this publicist named Yvonne Gillum, and Yvonne and she became my publicist. And, I'm not going to say she did a bad job, because she did an okay job. I mean, I guess I have to stop and think, what did she have to work with at the time? Was this novice author me, right? So I didn't get Michael's success. And I was like, okay, well, hell, I got the same publicist. How come I don't have any success? Well, simple. I'm not Michael. And I'm glad I'm not Michael. Michael Baisden is Michael Baisden, and I'm Dr. D. Yvonne Young. And what Michael does well, he does well. What I do well, I do well. And I realized then that, okay, it's not about the publicist. It's about me. And doors were opening for me. Now, here's what I caution all of you guys to hear. Don't try to go where you're not ready to be. Don't ask God to put you on national TV and at best you're some klutz. You don't have the awareness, or you don't have the ability to articulate a message effectively. You haven't read enough. You don't know your source material enough. I know another part of this journey is you have to get a formal education. You can't just sit here and do all of this stuff based on your opinion. So when I went back to University of Houston, my mother had passed away. I was in pre-med, and I became an insatiable reader of everything having to do with neurology and neuropsychology, to the point that I was setting the curve in my anatomy and physiology class, and my English and writing classes. I had some of the best teachers. Dr. Stephen Mintz was one of the best researchers of history in America, and he wrote some profound things. And I can't even think of this other guy's name, but he's the voice, the narrating voice for the Hall of the Presidents at Disney in Florida. And he's one of the most, and then Neil deGrasse Tyson, I know I probably just screwed his name up, the brother with the mustache that's always doing all of the science shows and what have you. I got inducted into this elite organization called 100 Black Men that does all of these wonderful things in communities and mentoring and what have you. And you can't join it. You have to be invited in. But all of this stuff was happening in my life almost in the same season of my life. And I learned that it's not about writing a book anymore. It's about you being the book you wrote. Like Wayne Dyer, Wayne wrote some. I've written 4 books. The 4th one being penned now. But Wayne wrote, God, I can't even count how many books. But when he wrote The Erogenous Zone, and all these I'm okay, you're okay, all these different projects, The Power of Intention and things like that. He was just only pouring out from his spirit onto a piece of paper that which was within Wayne. So when he talked and when he did filmed his content and put it, and it got to PBS, what people don't understand is the content was filmed and PBS said, would you do that for us? It wasn't Wayne and PBS created this. Someone at PBS was familiar with Wayne and said, can you do that with us? Not for us, with us. And that's how we have to, as if you want to be an author, your ingredients of this, get educated. Don't just write something from the side of your dang head. Really get educated. And I do mean study and research what you're writing. Don't plagiarize. Do a works cited, and not just because, and a lot of people are intimidated. They want everybody to think it's their own thought. There is no such thing as an original thought. There isn't such thing as an original way to use that thought. But there's no thought that's new known to man. Someone thought it before you did, but maybe the way that you can use it is different. So find people that embody your philosophies. Like with me, it's Milton Erickson and Eric Erickson and Bandura and Piaget and Brofiner and even some living legends. I mean, there's so many popping in my head. I don't want to give deference to any, but Louise Hay being one, Cornel West being another, Deepak Chopra being another. Hell, I'm even starting to like Oprah, something I didn't ever think I would do. But I'm being funny. I actually her Oprah's life class, I can relate to that. I'm on a show on TV One every week called Fatal Attraction, and another one is called Justice by Any Means. These shows are about horrible things that happen. And when I do it, I want people to realize that, when you let the moment take control of you, ugly things happen. So as an author, write about that. Write about that which is familiar to you, that which you've lived, that which you've been afflicted, offended, incarcerated, held hostage, when you've been marked for death because you're out of remission. I mean, write about it. And when you write about it, here's a little formula for writing a good book. If you're going to write something down, write this down. Every chapter, make sure that you are saying something that someone really, really, really needs to hear and that could change their life. That's number one. Number two, make sure that you validate what you've said through other people's writings, whether you mention them or not. At least do the research to make sure your theory is based on something realistic and something sound. The other thing is make sure that you entertain them a little bit. Put a couple of anecdotal stories, elements in there that can make someone laugh or at least smile or have a pleasant thought. The other thing is make sure that you keep it real. Don't write some BS trying to sound like an academician, especially if you're not one. And don't try to say so much. Use as few words to say as much as possible. Then determine what is your writing style. Mine is very conversational. That may not work for you. So find out, do you write with logos, ethos, or pathos? And if you want to know what I mean by any of that, just get the letter from Birmingham jail that Martin Luther King wrote, and then Google the terms ethos, logos, and pathos, and exos, and you'll see what I mean by those terms. I don't want to turn this show into a writing seminar, but the thing is, look and make sure that whatever it is that you're creating is something that someone needs to read, not something you want them to read.
Good points. You know, you could do a book on writing, and you said you're working on a new book. What's the new book going to be on, Doctor?
This new project is, in my practice, there's some modalities and methods that I use to help bring people to a point of self-actualization and where they can learn what's pulling their triggers or what's catalyzing their thoughts. This book is, we haven't even titled it yet, but what it does is it shows you how to take and discover your natural personality type accompanied by all the crap that's currently going on in your life, how that relates to your greater purpose, and how you can discern in every given moment the reason why you're there and what it is you're meant to do with being there. And that's what this book is about. I think if we were to try to put some words around it, it's about transcendence. It's about manifestation. Definitely about another way to use and understand the laws of attraction. But more than anything, it's teaching people to find the meaning in right now and to not miss a moment. And that's what it's about.
That's wonderful. Lynn, did you have any final questions before we wrap up today? I'm sorry, I've been doing mostly question asking.
Well, this is his interview, and it's been very interesting to just listen, learning a lot, taking in a lot, giving me a lot to think about, and I'm sure doing the same for everyone. Some of the questions that I was going to ask a while ago, he actually answered them in the process of what he was saying, and that was in trying to help others. And I totally agree about pursuing a purpose and not just success. But in the process of pursuing that purpose, I found that it's a process of evolution, not something you may start out in one direction and where you end up down the road as you are divinely guided can mean something totally different. So flexibility then is part of the process too as you learn and grow. But I was going to ask him to give like maybe 2 or 3 points that a new person, someone who's just starting out, who's still trying to find their way or determine where's step one, what would be a few places that they can start out in order to create their dream and to start pursuing their purpose. Like he mentioned, blogging, is one thing, and making sure that there's authenticity there. Writing a book and doing your research and making sure that you're just, you're not just putting something out there based on your ego and desire, and doing things like that. Because for everyone, it starts in a different way. Some will be motivated by personal experience to take on a path. And so I think he pretty much answered my questions because it was in order. My questions were driven for those who are just starting out, not so much for me, but for everyone that's trying to figure out, well, where do I start and how do I know what my purpose is and all of that. So I thank you so much, Dr. Young, for all of your input, your wisdom, your insight, and your sharing. You truly do have a lot to offer, and I'm glad we got a chance I'm glad I got a chance to listen to you because it, like Cindy said, it's a quite different experience than reading your postings and what have you. So I appreciate you sharing so much, being so open and willing to give us this insight information, this insight into you.
Truly, and I have to second that and say I've realized that why you're called an expert. And where it takes you beyond just doing it for yourself, but really doing it to help other people. That's what I'm taking away a lot as well, Doctor.
Well, I want to just say this. Everything you do it in love, even with those that get on your nerves, those that you hate, those that you want to criticize, look and examine the deeper meaning